Hello and welcome to the Philips African Dialogues. Today we've changed the format of the show slightly to bring you an interactive and visual look at healthcare for the most vulnerable, personal health innovation and lighting. My name's Alexander Leibner and let's explore the Philips Africa Innovation Experience 2015.
The event provides a glimpse into the future of healthcare and lighting, with attendees going on an experiential tour through an immersive setting that showcases how the healthcare industry is slowly becoming more agile, effective and more cost-effective for people on the African continent.
Now, if you're anything like me, the thought of a blood test is horrifying, and I mean, I just do not enjoy needles. Now, Philips might not have reinvented the way that blood is taken, but they have reinvented the way that blood is tested. And joining me right now is Helen Brown, and she's going to take us through a new device called the MiniCare Acute. Now, Helen, it looks like a smartphone, but it isn't. What does it do?
It's a very portable blood test analyzer. And why do we want it portable? Because we want to be able to do the test at the patient's side. Why? Because it's much quicker and it's extremely accurate as well.
Okay, so how does it work? It looks a bit like something that I'm already a bit familiar with when you normally do blood tests.
Yes.
However, the rest of the device is quite revolutionary.
Yes, it's a new magnetic biotechnology, nanotechnology.
Okay.
And that's why the results are very accurate and comparable to big, large laboratory analyzers. It's cartridge based. And what's great about it is non-invasive.
Okay.
So it takes one finger prick of the patient. You put the cartridge in the machine, add the drops of blood, close it, and within minutes you have a result which normally would take from an hour to an hour and a half to get the results in the normal workflow.
And that's quite a critical thing, because normally time is of the essence when it comes to serious or dangerous conditions.
Yes, absolutely, and particularly we have now the troponin I test available, which is linked to cardiac arrests, myocardial infarctions, where you know time is very, very critical. So with this test, instead of waiting an hour for the result, the doctor has it within minutes next to your bed and you can be treated instantaneously with the correct treatment.
So you're pointing out a couple of packets here and a couple of things. So what you're telling me is that there's different cartridges for different conditions?
For different tests.
For different tests,
yes.
Okay.
So if you want to test troponin I, you take the cartridge, it's marked troponin I, put it in the machine, test. You still use the same machine for various different tests, which we're busy developing at the moment.
And this machine is connected to a bigger universe?
Yes.
Is that correct?
It's all part of the healthcare continuum and the communication, very intelligent. You connect it to a normal network, which can then put the results into the hospital information system, or you can connect it via GSM or internet to get the results from any rural areas or from a home-based patient as well.
So where do you see this being used in terms of actual point of use?
Primarily in your emergency departments, where your patients are coming in the critical trauma, and you want the results very quickly. You can use it in an ICU environment, where you need results also very quickly. Also in the ambulance environment, where you want tests on the road that you can transmit to the hospital before you even get there. So the doctors know exactly what's going on with the patient, they can start treating immediately. So there's no time wastage.
And when are we going to start seeing these devices rolling out in hospitals?
Okay, well, we're launching it in Europe in early 2016, and we're hoping to bring it to Africa, Southern Africa, before the end of next year.
Fantastic. Helen, I'm sorry to hear that you haven't reinvented the needle, so I'm still going to have to go through that pain and that process.
You can prick your finger.
But at least I know that there's a new technology and a new way of actually testing the blood. So thanks so much for your time.
Thank you very much.
Great.
On World Pneumonia Day, Royal Philips announced the release of a children's automated respiration monitor. This improves the diagnosis and treatment of pneumonia in low-resource countries, potentially preventing many of the 935,000 childhood deaths caused by pneumonia each year. The CHARM device has the potential to assist community health workers in establishing a more accurate measurement of a sick child's breathing rate to help improve the diagnosis of pneumonia.
Now to something that I am not an expert in, but I will try my very best. I'm in a mobile clinic and we're here with Mariska Venter to discuss some of the interesting technology that Philips is bringing out for women who are pregnant, who are going through their pregnancy and then also the childbirth phase, to see how do they take care of themselves, how do they take care of their baby, and look at that preventative information that could really change and save lives. So Mariska, what have we got here on this little one?
So today what we have here is called the Philips CHARM device. It's a device that picks up the breath rate of the baby As we all know that pneumonia is one of the lead causes of under 5 mortality in the world, and we believe that with this device we will be there to early identify and treat pneumonia in children.
So pneumonia, how up until this point where we've had this little gizmo and this little guy, how have people been treating or analyzing pneumonia up until now?
So there was a couple of ways. So first of all, they used to only observe with their eyes, or they would feel the chest movements and take the breath rate over the baby. Or in other cultures, they would use what they call a bean string, which has a couple of beans, and each time the child breathes, they would take a bean from the one side to the next and make it a counting bean stream.
And that was basically the science behind analyzing it. And now, I mean, I'm going to quickly just get this thing to work. So I'm just going to turn it on here. And we're going to choose a child lying down, and then we're going to let him breathe a bit.
Yes.
And then once it hits 3 circles, we will get a reading from this. So is this already available on the continent?
Yes. Philips launched it at World Pneumonia Day about a month ago. So this is available to the public.
Okay, I'm helping here breathe a bit here. I think we're almost there. We've almost got 3 circles going here. Shame, he's breathing quite heavily. There we go. Okay, we've got 58.
58 breaths per minute. So there's a sensor inside that detects the chest movement, and that converts them to that quantity.
And then from that point, doctors can make a decision on what needs to happen or not needs to happen, and he's all right. So he looks like he's fine.
Yes.
Mariska, thank you so much for taking us through this. And there you go.
Physic is a transducer plus tablet ultrasound system that delivers the image quality of a cart-based system. Ultramobile and easy to use, it allows clinicians to perform quality diagnostic, obstetric, gynecological and abdominal scans anywhere, from hospital labour rooms to remote rural locations.
Continuing on the streak of healthcare during pregnancies, I'm here with Johanna Mark, and this is a revolutionary new device. The actual technology is not necessarily new, but the way it's being packaged and the way it's being used is quite new. So just want to take us through this ultrasound device.
This is a Philips ultrasound system. As you can see, it's ultra mobile, really tablet size. The innovation behind the physical ultrasound system lies in the transducer. So what you would normally find in a larger ultrasound system, they have minimized that and built it into the transducer.
And this is quite an important part of the entire pregnancy. So women would regularly come and do this ultrasound to make sure their child is healthy. And
exactly. You can think about rural areas where ultrasound is not available. There's women going through a pregnancy without having a single ultrasound done. So they do not know the position of the baby, if there's 1 or 2 babies. So that's very important points to know during a pregnancy. And if you can make this available in clinics and rural areas where ultrasound is not available, it can completely change the management of patients.
Well, we're in a mobile clinic right now. So essentially a lady would come into the mobile clinic. She's 3-4 months pregnant, and then take me through the process as to how somebody would use this device and make an analysis on it.
Okay. First of all, one can choose the examination, which needs, you can hold that.
Okay, I'm going to hold this, okay.
You can choose the examination that you would like to do.
Okay.
You would enter the patient's details. I'm just going to choose a temporary ID, and then you are ready to go. Then you can scan the patient. And with using this device, we also know that it's a fully diagnostic system.
Okay.
So it has calculation packages, so you can find out the size of the baby, the weight of the baby. It has different modes like color and Doppler available to see if blood flow is present in certain areas, and also to detect the baby's heart rate.
And this is on a standard tablet, so this is the actual technology is really
inside the transducer.
In the transducer. So once it gets to a point where you can sort of take any tablet and plug this in, it becomes available to virtually anybody, even in a crisis situation.
Exactly.
Be it an earthquake or a hurricane, and people have to be attended to. This could be one of those mobile devices.
Talking about rural or smaller clinics, you are talking about giving people the opportunity to have access to ultrasound.
Yeah.
If you talk about bigger hospitals or bigger countries, you talk about this device having a place in emergency departments, or in ambulances, or helicopters, or in labor and delivery wards, where they want quick answers and which they can get with it.
But it doesn't replace the full-sized devices that we currently see in hospitals.
No, it has image quality comparable to some bigger ultrasound systems, but it's not replacing them. Instead, it has a specific use. At the moment, the physics system has one transducer, so we're talking about abdominal examinations as well as pregnancies, where your bigger ultrasound systems normally have a range of ultrasound transducers, which is this, that can cover also a wide range of examinations.
Well, that's part one of the Philips Innovation Experience Africa. After the break, we're going to look at more technology of the future and what you can expect from tomorrow. Stay tuned. Welcome back. Let's get straight back into it and have a look at some futuristic technology.
Personal health programs represent a new era in connected care for consumers, patients, and health providers. Healthcare is moving outside the hospital and into our homes and everyday lives. They are built on the Philips Health Suite digital platform, an open and secure cloud-based platform that collects and analyzes health and other data from multiple devices and sources.
Now, there's no device in the world that is going to be able to make me do any of those moves. However, there are other devices that are going to try and make me feel healthier and be healthier. I'm here with Thabang Sekaja from Philips. So, Thabang, take me through these new devices that you've just brought out.
Okay, thanks Alex for having me first of all. So before we talk about the devices, I think a bit of context is needed. So all these devices that you are looking at are actually part of our strategy as Philips to address consumers and ordinary people's health needs, right?
Okay, so you've got a, well, let's have a quick look here. You've got a, this looks like a scale.
Yes, it is. It's a body analysis scale.
Yes.
So it is more than just a scale. So what this does is it doesn't just take your weight. So it looks at the total body composition, energy, everything that you need. It's able to connect to your mobile device and give you much more insight than you would get from a normal scale.
Right, so the scale connects to an app on my phone.
Indeed.
And that then tells me my weight.
Indeed. Your body fat percentage.
Okay.
And also can dispense some advice around what you can do, because the nice thing about it is now you have your personal profile which you've uploaded on your app.
Okay.
You get your measurements from your body scale, and now you can have insight. So now you've got the data, you've got your personal profile. Now out of that we can have insight that we can actually dispense advice that is personal to you, that you can take charge of your own health.
Okay, so take me through that practically. How would I benefit? So now the scale has told me I've got a certain body weight and a certain body composition. Now I wake up in the morning, I go to work. How is this going to help me be healthier?
Now, this is how the app works. So basically it's about saying you've got all these devices, but it's not really about the device. The magic is about in the insight that the device can give you.
Okay.
Now, having a personal app, I'm able to upload my profile and say, this is who I am. I'm Alex. I would like to lose 2 kilometers within the, or kilograms in 2 months.
Yeah.
So what you then do is, obviously you will load your goal on your personal app. Every morning you will go and weigh yourself. However, it's not just about weighing yourself, right? You do know that you will have some personal intervention, whether it's eating correctly, whether it's undertaking some physical activity.
Yes.
And every day when you measure yourself, this thing dispenses a piece of data. Okay. Now, when you go to your app, you are able to say that data, what does it mean for me? What is the insight? Then you're able to know, is it me having to eat more healthier, or am I required to actually undertake more physical activity? So based on the analysis that you get from the scale, you will know what is the correct thing to do and what is the correct intervention for you.
Will the app go as far as telling me to start walking around during the day if I've been sitting for too long, or tell me what to eat, when I should eat it?
Of course, not this particular device though. So we've got a watch that does that, right? So you strap it onto your wrist and it tells you exactly what you need to do. It can actually tell you if you've been stationary for 2 hours and say, you know what, Alex, you've been sitting all day. How about you walk across to your colleague in finance instead of sending an email? Then you are starting to adopt the right behaviors, so that whatever you end up measuring on the scale, which you are informed by another device, now starts making more sense for you.
What is this device I've got here in my hand?
Wow, lovely piece of magic you have on your hands. Now that's an ear thermometer.
Yeah.
A lot of times a child gets a hot or a cold temperature, you are quick to just put your hand on their forehead.
Oh, you've got that glass thing that you have to
Of
shake
course,
like this, and then you
right?
can make sure the mercury is at 0, and then
Of course.
you stick it under your arm, under your tongue,
Which
no
presents,
longer.
which presents a whole lot of challenges, hygiene, reading accuracy. So
And
now
it's cold.
And it's cold,
Yes,
right?
yeah, that's right, yeah,
so now
that's
what
the
we
worst
are
part.
trying to do is that, how do we give you more scientific, reliable device? You can use at the comfort of your home,
Yep.
and you can know and trust that the information is reliable. So what you would do, you stick this into your child or your sibling's ear. It tells you with precision and accuracy, within 2 seconds, you will know what's wrong with the child and you will know what to do.
And then you've got another device here as well. Is this sort of a telephone on my arm? No.
No, this is a telephone.
No, not a phone, okay.
So now this one is blood pressure monitoring tool. Now this is if you want to measure something that is quite more clinical than just your calories intake, right?
Okay.
So you can be able to take this, strap it onto your arm, and be able to have an accurate blood pressure reading, right? So now you, instead of going to your general professional practitioner, at the comfort of your home, you have a piece of equipment that is very reliable, and you can always measure your blood pressure. Now what is more important? Because it's also connected to your app, whatever information you get, right now you can get a piece of data that tells you this is your reading of your blood pressure, but you don't know what that means, right?
Yep.
Now you've got a profile, you've got access to insights, you've got benchmarking, you'll be able to know, is this cause for concern or not, and this is the intervention that I can undertake to make sure that I'm healthy.
So all these devices connect to this one app and give me a
100%.
full overview of my current state of health.
Alex, that's the beauty and that's the magic, because all these devices are integrated to tell one particular story and to help you manage all these things, so that they are not all individual pieces of equipment which requires you to have a different routine in how you utilize them. You connect them all via Bluetooth technology, and they'll all be able to work in sync and give you an integrated approach to your health management.
Are all these devices already available on the continent?
Currently not available on the continent, but what we've just shared now is what is under our radar. We've just shown what is that could be available in the near future to whet the appetite of the consumer and ordinary citizens. So we are now in a testing phase in Germany, so where we will be testing the products in market and seeing how they work, and from there we enter into a commercialization process of how to bring them to market.
Around the globe, disruption, innovation, and the rapid pace of technological development is reshaping consumer experience, as well as the operating environment for organizations of all sizes within every industry. In the healthcare industry, technological and business innovation is empowering companies and healthcare professionals to deliver medication, treatment, as well as more effective care to patients, quicker, more effectively than ever, and this ultimately results in better care that is accessible to many more people than ever before.
Let's just talk about Philips as a business and as a brand in general. I mean, a lot of people will know Philips over the last how many decades being a business that has mainly been focused on televisions, electronics on all levels of life. And there seems to be this very big shift towards health and wellness. Just take us through that evolution.
Well, that change has occurred over the last 10 years. Yes, you're right, a significant portion of our business before was around the consumer space, and it's still quite a significant portion of the business. But what we've seen over the last 10 years is a shift from business to consumer to business and business to government. Specifically, our lighting business and our healthcare businesses are focused more on the business to business and business to government going forward. Lighting because of the shift in the LED revolution and the approach that's occurring in terms of how retail sales occurred in the past for lighting, where you replaced your lamp every 6 months or so, to now where we're moving towards solutions in terms of lighting space. In healthcare, it's around how do you work with the Ministry of Health? How do you help them and work together as a partner in terms of impacting healthcare in a particular country? And that has led to more than 70% of the business of Philips being in both lighting and healthcare, and therefore in the more B2B, B2G space. And that's developed over the last 10 years.
And you've actually moving, I mean, Philips has always been known to be very much in the sort of hospital space, as you know, CAT scans and all these sort of high-tech, highly expensive machines, and moving basically into my living room and into my bedroom with some of these new technologies that you're bringing out.
Yeah, that's certainly true. We're very unique in that we are actually both in the consumer space, yes, around domestic appliances, personal care, etc., but we're also around the healthcare space, and we're also around the post-healthcare space. So that's why the new approach of the company in terms of the healthcare space is to focus on health tech, the end-to-end continuum. Consumers want to look better, feel better, manage their own personal health, manage their own personal hygiene. They may have an incident and they go into hospital. That's where we are traditionally in the hospital space. They then, when they come out of hospital, they want to manage their health again and reduce their dependence on the hospital system. And you see that entire continuum occurring. And it's very exciting for us, because that's a major business opportunity for us to focus going forward on that change where we see consumers want to control their own destiny in terms of their healthcare.
And I think one of the statistics that came out of your presentation was that Philips is aiming to essentially help half the planet, 3 billion people, over the next 10 years. Where do you even start tackling a goal like that?
Well, maybe just to touch on that particular indicator. Yeah. That indicator is focused on how many touch points people have with Philips during the course of a year. So whether they're buying an appliance, whether they're using an appliance at home, whether they're in hospital and with various devices, whether they have Philips lighting, etc. And there is a very strong underlying calculation, and we're well on that path. Certainly more than 50% of their targets have been achieved already, but it's an ongoing target for us to have more and more impact with consumers, with B2B and with B2G.
Now, a lot of these devices that we've had a chance to look at and view are very much the Internet of Things. So, you know, every single device is either connected to each other or to the Internet indirectly. And there's a lot of data and a lot of, I guess, very personal information that's floating around, especially when it comes to healthcare and blood pressure and all these sort of things. What is the sort of the security or the safety that Philips has put in place for consumers to know, if I use this stuff, if I interact with these things, I'm going to be all right. It's not going to sort of suddenly become public knowledge or whatever the case is.
I think that the key thing for us in that area is that we follow the global guidelines. Obviously, we are also focused in terms of how we manage that data, and it's only on a must need to know type of basis. The key thing is around the more macro data. So in other words, people who are attending hospitals or attending, measuring their own blood pressures. What is the trend in society? Those type of trends are what is of interest to us, rather than the individual's details. So obviously the necessary protection mechanisms are in place to avoid that information is is personalized, if I can put it that way. And the focus is more on the general trends of the data that's actually occurring, how we can extract that and actually get real benefit to put back into our systems and to give advice back to the patients concerned.
The lighting industry is transforming rapidly, and LEDs, or light-emitting diodes, are transforming the nature of lighting. Artificial light can be used to enhance the human experience.
Well, this has been a very insightful morning for me. I mean, it's, when people said, just talk about light, I mean, it's about either it's on or it's off. But based on your presentation this morning, light is no longer just about illumination. Is that correct?
Absolutely. I think, at least when we think about light in the past, it was really just a light source in a socket. We've moved so far down the value chain in terms of where lighting is going. The convergence of IT with lighting is happening, power over Ethernet and all these technologies. So we're seeing a lot of convergence between IT and lighting happening. So a lot more than just a light source now.
Well, let's unpack some of those examples. I mean, one of the things you brought up was an office that could have lights that aren't just illuminating the office, but they're literally measuring temperature, activity levels in an office, climate, all of these things, and then making a building more efficient. If you just want to just give us a bit more insight into that.
So if you consider that we're probably one of the only companies that owns access to the buildings, to your homes, to the streets, we actually make use of that real estate in a very different way. So in a building, for example, because we own that real estate of the socket, we can put analytics in there, data analytics. So we can put motion sensing, for example. And the motion sensing will detect movement in the building and draw over a week or over a period of time which parts of the building are being used efficiently and which are not. You can actually have a very different discussion with your landlord and say, I'm not using this part of the building anymore. This is what lighting is happening. This is what's happening in the lighting environment.
So it's no longer just a matter of a motion sensor that turns on the light or turns off the light.
Not.
It is a completely different analytic and a completely different set of data that you can extract from it. Now, you also spoke about intelligent lamp posts. So taking it onto the street, now a lamppost no longer can just illuminate the street, it also can offer a whole other range of services.
Absolutely, and again, it works down to, or boils down to the real estate that you're owning. So it's a pole, there's a lamp source at the end, there's a power source that could be either battery, solar, or whatever. But what else can we do with that real estate? And what we're starting to see is a lot of interest with telcos to actually include Wi-Fi in this real estate, because now in a traffic in a street, you can provide that service on top of the lighting as well.
Well, that's it for the Philips Innovation Experience Africa. The future awaits us. Thank you for joining us, and I guess while I'm here, I might as well just have a quick dental checkup. So please excuse me. I've been flossing.